have a credential.
Right. You got to know.
That's my NFL honors story. But I'm fired up for February 6th because there are 3 Broncos that are nominated for awards, and I think one of them already has this thing in the bag. That is Patrick Surtain II. He is up for Defensive Player of the Year. He has to really, it's TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, I think are the guys that are in his way. But he is by far the betting favorite. If you think you can gauge anything from that, it looks like PS2 is going to be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and PS2 so deserving of that, deserving of all the accolades and all the awards because, well, best corner in the game. And it's one of those things where he's going to help you win games. And maybe that's what the honors or these sorts of awards are about because it just gives you a sign of how great is your team. How can they win games when you're not supposed to be winning those games? The Broncos beat up on a bunch of bad teams on their way to 10 wins. Yeah?
Yeah.
They didn't lose to bad teams.
That's right.
Because
they used
teams
to be
of the
that bad
past,
team.
they would be like, how did you lose to those guys? You don't get that anymore. So, and I understand people try to use that as a flex. Like, well, they didn't beat anybody with a winning record except the Buccaneers. Congrats. I hope you feel better. They got 10 wins. Mm-hmm. You know, that's difficult to do in this league. And it's not making excuses. It's just knowing where they came from and where they're going. We're going to look back on this journey, and that's going to be early in the road trip, right? The road trip, we're going to have fun. It's going to be a blast. We got the Meat Lovers Pizza in the trunk. Like, we're good to go. But this is just the beginning. We haven't even got half a tank of gas down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're still just starting this drive. And wait till you see how it finishes.
Mm-hmm. So PS2's there. Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's Brock Bowers, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thompson Jr., and Bo Nix is on this. And again, almost like we're talking about with Defensive Player of the Year and it being PS2's award, this is Jaden Daniels' award. I think Bo Nix will... no, he won't, actually. I was going to say he'll finish second, but Brock Bowers will, because everybody's going to fall over themselves about the 1,000 yards as a rookie.
Yeah, and then he's going to go to NFL honors, and people are like, who's that retired hockey player?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's Brock Bowers.
Right. He's the king of the comb-over at 20 years old.
Hey, get down how you get down, man. He's making it work, or, well, trying to.
Trying to, yeah.
Him and Mark Davis exchange hair tips.
Because it'll be, I mean, and again, I can't get over, Kevin like that one. I can't get over what Kevin told us. 15 years, 2 tight ends have had 1,000 yards in their rookie year as a first-round pick.
Yeah.
It's Brock and Kyle Pitts. Jaden Daniels is going to win this because how could he not? And then if you care about who's second or third, I think it would be Brock and then Bo.
Yeah, well, and you guys brought this up in terms of yesterday on Dover on Denver. You did a great job. Check it out on our YouTube channel. But when you said like, 1,000, okay, what's more valuable for people that are wanting a tight end? There's so many people that they go, I don't want Gente, I want Tyler Warren. Great. Calm down.
Yeah.
But do you want that 500 yards? Or do you want the guy that can get you 1,500 on the ground? Mm-hmm. He might cross 2,000 all-purpose yards as a rookie. And that's not even crazy to suggest. Even if he has 1,300 yards rushing, he could throw in another 600-700 yards receiving. There you go. There's 2,000. So what's more valuable? Tyler Warren is going to be a great NFL player, for sure. For sure. Ashton Gente is going to have an immediate impact that could provide your offense with conservatively 1,500 yards of offense. That's going to be a lot more, and I know it's about schematics and all that. It's going to be a lot more than that 500 yards that your tight end's going to get you.
Well, and we were talking about it yesterday on the podcast. It's if the running back free agent market was better, I'd say the same thing about that position. You draft a tight end, you go get a tight end via trade or free agency. Not a ton of names free agency. We're going to actually go into some of that at 12:45 today, but not a ton of names out there in free agency, but maybe you do have to get aggressive and go make a trade or call about a trade to get a proven player that can help next year with Bo Nix.
Yeah. So make it happen. And go get your guy, that can make the largest impact right now. Because, again, on the road trip, you got to have the things that'll put you over the top immediately. Mm-hmm. This isn't about – the NFL is no longer about a slow build. It's about getting there as fast as possible. The NFL is no longer – sorry, Pete Rozelle. It's no longer about parity. There's 20 awful teams in this league. Awful.
Yeah.
The Broncos are not one of those teams anymore because they have Bo Nix.
And dude, every time you say that, I think about the Bo haters of like, Isn't that enough for you right now? At least, expect more going forward. But man, it's just, how was that not enough for you considering where we came from?
Yeah,
it's crazy to me.
Try not to argue with idiots because they drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. So for me, it's like you're not one of those garbage teams. It means you can win a Super Bowl. Why not faster? Why not us? Why not 2025? Why are we waiting? What are you waiting for? Oh, well, he's got to pay his dues.
Jaden Daniels is bucking all those trends.
Yeah, no, you don't. It's a nice story, right? I always go back to when the Bulls finally beat the Pistons. Maybe if the Bills actually beat the Chiefs and the refs, maybe if they actually beat the Chiefs and the refs, then we can say, hey, and Buffalo would have to win the Super Bowl then. Their Super Bowl can't be Sunday.
No.
And if you're Buffalo, you can't think that we finally beat Mahomes.
Ask the Vikings how that worked
and then go to New Orleans and lay an egg against Jaden Daniels, who kicks your ass, right?
Yep.
First rookie to get a Super Bowl, first rookie to win a Super Bowl. That's all possible. It's within the realm of possibility. One, because of Jalen Hurts. And two, because of Jalen Hurts. He's got a knee injury.
Yeah.
And
they're telling you every time it's brought up, he's fine. No, he's fine.
Totally
he's
fine. What are you
practice.
talking about?
Yeah.
Now, what's funny is yesterday, the Eagles conducted a walkthrough, but he totally was fine. They didn't have a practice. The practice status was an estimation, but he's totally full participant, everybody. It was a walkthrough. So you're telling me Jalen Hurts can walk. Congrats. So if you're the Broncos, don't wait around. Don't take this slow approach. Honestly, I think that's like a loser's mentality of like, well, it's just like you got to go. And no. Okay, it might be Buffalo's time this year. If it is, good. I'm sick of talking about them. Hey, they're going to win. They're lovable losers. Well, pretty soon you're like Detroit. You're just losers.
You're coming over here with me. We're going to go trashing Applebee's later, dude.
That's what we do. So go win the damn thing. And then next year it's the Broncos' turn.
Yeah.
And don't ever think for a second that it's not the Broncos' turn.
Look, I'm not going to put it. You say Super Bowl. I'm a little hesitant to go that far, but I mean, depending on what happens in the draft and free agency, what they can add around Bo, how much you believe in this defense coming right back and being better than they were a year ago, maintaining consistency and not falling apart through the month of December. One more quick one about awards. Coach of the Year. Sean Payton's on the list. Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, and Andy Reid. Going to be tough to beat a Dan Quinn again. But the Dan Campbells and Kevin O'Connells, I know it's the regular season award, right?
Right.
But I just mentioned the Kevin O'Connell stuff. They're hoisting Sam Darnold. Well, what'd they do since then? That's got to count for something, the way they fell apart. So it's going to be really difficult to beat Dan Quinn. But I think Sean Payton's more deserving of that award than Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell and Andy Reid. I can't say that much about Dan Quinn, though.
Dan Campbell should have never tempted the football gods by telling Kevin O'Connell, we'll see you in 2 weeks. He should have never, ever said that. It's what I say about Pat Mahomes tempting the football gods by flopping all the damn time. You're tempting the football gods. They will not be kind to you.
No.
So in this instance, like Dan Quinn, what do we hear from Washington? Like, seriously. What do we hear? No, about like anything. They just show up and beat you.
Yeah.
They're the silent assassin. All we heard is, oh, Dan Campbell, all these Lions, all the Lions at home, and all this and that, and Jared Goff and all this. And they got smoked. Literally smoked. You don't hear Washington, out there rattling their sabers or beating their chest or anything like that. They just show up and they beat you. So Dan Quinn, he doesn't need to bite your kneecaps. He's just going to go grab them dubs from you.
If Dan Campbell were to win, I'd be like, that's a pretty disappointing year for the Coach of the Year candidate. I would tell
when he had everything.
I would guess he would say, I don't want this thing.
But yet they had everything. What's Detroit going to do, right? Well, let's go get another first-round wide receiver, right? Like, they have everything. They have 2 running backs. They have the receivers. They have the tight end. They have their quarterback. Their defense had injuries, but again, you're not going to have everything. We got to stop acting. This is where I get mad at Mike Evans again. So mad at Mike Evans. Because he's like, we got this promo. Maybe I should get mad at Richie for picking the promo. Like, oh, Vance Joseph, he doesn't have it. What if they need to? Okay, VJ, you're not going to have everything. You have to coach him up when you're not perfect. That's offense and defense. The Broncos dealt without a tight end and without some receiver questions and with no ground game. None.
Yeah.
0 to represent themselves on the ground. And they were able to get it done and get 10 wins. And offensively, they were able to shine. Okay, if you're Dan Campbell, you had everything and you couldn't even get to the conference championship. You can't blame Josh Reynolds this year.
Sure can't. You sure can't. I got to ask you, you said rattle your saber.
Yeah.
Is that a Star Wars thing?
No.
Oh.
You haven't heard of saber rattling? Usually in terms of, unfortunately, like before times of war.
Okay.
There will be their country leaders will start saber rattling of like, oh, we're going to do this, or oh, you don't want to tempt us, or they'll do some sort of maybe even a public display of armaments, of the tanks and your ICBMs and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, so there'll be saber rattling.
Okay.
That's what that is.
I thought you were referring to a lightsaber itself, right? Isn't that the sword?
So we were snowed in for 3 days. You didn't watch Star Wars, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't get to it.
It's on the list. Kev's got a list of receipts. You've got a list of movies you need to watch.
We discussed it, and even Kelsey was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm into it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No,